good morning, beloveds.
Good morning.
Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living Greater Chico, and it's certainly my pleasure and honor and indeed a privilege to stand with my peers, because there's no separation here. I begin with a question this morning. I love questions, but I'll let you know that. I love questions. My teachers from the beginning of time, long time ago, in the beginning, up and through Dr. Carolyn, know how I can question. And it hasn't always come out of my mouth like it does now, because I learned, it used to, but then there was a time where I was exampled in my life to not speak out, to shut down. So this teaching has indeed caused me to be able to open up, speak out, and to not only know my truth, but to be able to hopefully share it with my friends here. And so my question is, what is the first mental image that you have when you hear law and order? Well, you might think of a police officer. I did. These are mine. You might have your own. A courtroom. Yes. Attorneys. And so here are some examples of order in the world. Well, once a month, we at the Center for Spiritual Living have a board meeting, and I call the meeting to order. Okay? Well, there are the ABCs. And from A to Z, they are called an alphabet, and they are usually recited in order. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, you know, that childlike thing we learn. We learn order early in our lives. Well, there's the Masonic order. And ladies, there's Order of Eastern Star. Balance is important here for me. There are the men and women of the armed forces, and they're given their orders, aren't they? Yes. And when we eat out, we order off the menu. So we're all about ordering stuff in our lives. Some people order their spouse around, their dog around. They just order things. They order. You go online and order. We're all about ordering stuff, aren't we? Now, as for the laws, there are laws which govern a large percentage of our human activities, such as how fast we can drive on the roadways. Yeah? You got to pay attention to those laws because they change. The speed limit is changed on the freeway here between Highway 32 and First Avenue. Now it's back up to 60. Isn't that exciting? Yeah, you can go faster now. So we have to pay attention. But there's also rules about which side we can drive on, legally. There's a law of mathematics. 1 + 1 = 3. Oh, those mathematics, they're just so awful to me. They give me the wrong answer. No, they don't. Laws of mathematics are specific laws that always work. There's a law of gravity. And there are laws that say we must pay taxes. Income, sales, property, inheritance, and inventory taxes. So, lots of law and order in our world, isn't there? Lots of it. Well, the law and order that we see in our world has been and is now forever in process, just like we are. Because those laws come along, and then we have lawmakers in our country, in our cities, in our town, that change or adjust or modify the laws. Well, it's a principle so powerful and ever available to us, this law and order. And yet the majority of us dismiss the spiritual aspect of what really goes on behind all of that. We tend to dismiss it as important. Well, this principle I'm referring to is the reciprocal nature of God, or Spirit. That which responds to us. The spiritual law and divine order, I call this. This is the principle. Spiritual law and divine order is what we ultimately, basically, universally use. So I love this teaching of the science of the mind because it teaches how to use the law, defines the law of mind. It's very clear, and it offers what I call a protocol. When rightly used, it creates for us. Well, it always creates, but there are times when I think, that's not creating for me. Don't know that I wanted that. But it's the reciprocal nature of using a spiritual principle. But it has to do that through us. It doesn't happen, it's not a drive-by caused by someone else, even though it may appear to be. Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, tells us in the textbook, it's on the section called The Action of Spirit Within Itself. This is what he says. God, the self-existent first cause, speaks and it is done. God's word is law. God is word. God is law. God is spirit. Spirit knows itself, and the law is servant of the Spirit. And is set in motion through its word. All law is some sort of universal force or energy. Now, the law does not know itself. Law knows only to do. Don't you wish our spouse was that way sometimes? Knows only just to do. It is the medium through which the Spirit operates to fulfill its purpose. So if in this teaching we're taught that there is no separation. I'm a divine expression of the infinite Spirit. I'm one perfect package out of the main package of Spirit or God. And so my word is God's word. There's a power within me that has the privilege and the opportunity to be used rightly. And we get to experience all of it, the rightly and the other, in our lives. We get to see an example all around us by our environment, by today, how we got here, what we thought coming here, what we brought here in our thinking. Everything around us is the expression of who we are and how we believe. And so the law knows only how to do. Many years ago, I used an example of the computer, knowing how to. It doesn't know of itself how to do. You have to place your order. You have to initiate the process. And most times, I don't know how it does it. A computer. Nor do I know how Spirit does it. How the law makes it work. And I know that the more often I use the computer, the more I trust it. Sometimes it takes a whole lot longer. It might take 30 seconds on a computer. When it used to take 5 minutes, and it seemed fast, didn't it? So there's a patience factor involved in creating in this reciprocal nature. So we put our thoughts out, or we demand a Spirit, and then we must trust it to do its perfect operation. Spirit will always fulfill its purpose. it will always fulfill its purpose. So it's important that we be clear when we place our order of spirit. As clear as we know how to be. And you know what? How many times have we gone to the restaurant, placed an order, gotten in conversation with the wait person? I've done this. It comes around and you thought, did I order that too? Well, in conversation, I have said, well, I was thinking about this over here, the refried beans, but maybe I'm going to have the nachos instead. So you get all of it. And that's how our mind works. We start adding on, second-guessing, denying, confusing, and what shows up? Nachos and refried beans. It's all been created out of our conversation and put into order through spiritual law. So I could go on. There are two perspectives of spiritual law and divine order that I've kind of come to in all of my thousands of years of study. First is the prayed for. That which we consciously expect. How many have prayed for consciously and received that? I have. And I found out it's more about praying for, treating for, demanding of spirit for the feeling it gives me. I don't pray for a certain kind of car anymore. I pray for its purpose. I pray for its use, its feeling, its ease of mobility, and the right amount of space for my life now. Well, now it's a small SUV. It used to be a sports car. I guess I'm carrying more stuff these days in my car. So it's interesting to see how all of this plays out in our lives as we go through them. And those parts that we consciously expect, in this teaching we learn about prayer treatment. We learn about affirmations to help us along. We visualize, don't we? And when those orders show up, we just bless them all over the place, don't we? Hallelujah, Kathy. Or whatever word you like to use. When you have your manifestation show up and you know it. That's what I wanted. And the second perspective is all the rest. So there's what we expect and all the rest that we've treated for. It's all the unexpecteds. Because we live in a world as humans, we often cannot resist seeing the dramas around us as divine in order. Some of those unexpected dramas we don't always see as what we may have created, in other words. This is my statement of truth about that. Everything in life has come out of the divine, perfect sequence of ideas and experience. Everything in life has come out of the divine, perfect sequence of ideas and experience. But the call is to recognize the divine order of them more often. It's hard to see sometimes, isn't it? It's really hard to say, oh, that's divine order. Not that one. The call is to live, therefore, more in the present, in the now moment. But most of us just can't sit home and go, because we live in the human world. Oh, would I be Dalai Lama? That's his job. That's his full-time role, is to be that. Ours is different sometimes. We have other experiences that we've come in here to do and to example. Martin Buber wrote, When we walk our way and encounter a man who comes toward us, walking his way, we know our way only and not his. For his comes to life for us only in the encounter. Do you get that? You repeat that? Yeah? When we walk our way and encounter a man who comes toward us, walking his way, we know our way only and not his. For his comes to life for us only in the encounter. In the encounter. And so, when we encounter each other, we have a moment to be with that person. We have an opportunity to come to life and be present with that person, with that experience. No matter what we encounter, no matter what we encounter. So I'd like to share with you an encounter that happened a couple of weeks ago. And it's going to example right people, right place, perfect order, and as yet to be realized, perfect outcome for all concerned, because the outcome hasn't been determined yet for every aspect of this. It happened at my hair salon. I was doing a haircut on a gentleman who happened to be my attorney, big, tall, strapping man. Works in the same complex. Reverend Eileen was sitting to my left, waiting for her next service. My co-worker, Lynn, went back to get some supplies. Here comes the sequence. If one of these hadn't happened, the end result would not have happened. Okay? Dropped a product. It fell to the floor. The head of the product is it was aerosol, and it began expressing its innards, spewing out its guts, all over the floor. She slipped and fell into it, kicking it into an adjacent bathroom. On her way down, she told us she had fallen, with a few choice words, and was grabbing the back of her head when we got. So we all jump up and we go to her. We're there. We're in position to help her whatever way we needed to help her. Well, a spark of that product got into the flame of the water heater. What? And the whole floor into the bathroom and around her lit up like a barbecue. So it was just moments. I pulled her out, away from that. Eileen and Bob is his name, rolled her, patted her dry, took care of her. Now Eileen she is so efficient. I mean, she stood up and she was on guard to see what needed to happen. She was perfect. Bob was strong enough to roll her. We got her outside, and she was on her way for help. Now it's pretty dramatic. But if any one of us had not been there at that moment, it would have been different. It would have been different. Now I'm thinking she needs to slow down a little bit because she got second-degree burns on the lower parts of her legs. And she's healing. And she's healing. And she's healing. And so, it's pretty dramatic. And it's really difficult in those moments to say, this is divine order. This is God at work. And that's why I said, it's yet to be revealed what her larger truth is going to be out of all this. But she's getting through it. She's very strong. She's very determined. But she's still not slowing down. Maybe she shouldn't. I don't want to judge it. Maybe a little bit. But another aspect is being clear about what's to happen next. I turned to the building owner who was right on the spot. I said, I'm going to be open tomorrow. This is at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I need a water heater to replace the one that no longer is working. Can you help me? He says, I'll take care of that. It was in at 4 o'clock, operational, same day. Cleaning crew, same thing. They came at 4:30. So the salon was open. But I was very clear about, if you can't do it, who can? This is what's going to happen here. It needs to happen here. I'm very clear. How can this happen? Can you help me? We have to ask for what we want. We have to ask for what we want. And it may not be that I'm going to ask you to do it, or you to do it. But I might ask you, do you know someone? This is what I need. So as a family, we come to a crisis, ask one of us. Ask your family. And we know people. All of us know people that can help us on our journey. And so, divine order and perfect law. How this all worked for me that way? How did it work in my life? Well, I was prayed up. I believe that. I was prayed up. It's one tool I learned. Pray up. Do your spiritual practice every day, even if there's not a drama. Especially if there's not a drama. It's easy to pray up if you have something going on. Pray up every day. And the second was, I was and am grateful for the wellness and the outcome of what has gone on in that experience, whatever it is. The law must and does operate through us as perfect order and perfect outcome. That's hard to see many times. I agree. I said, what's this about? What's this about? I got to a point where I was crying because it was loss. It was more feeling of loss. I know it's not the truth. Nothing's lost. But to get in touch with how you're feeling is important. So I did. So that was my next prayer. And my affirmation is, law operates through me as perfect order and divine outcome. So I'd invite you all, let's say this together, okay? This affirmation, because it applies to all of us. Law operates through me.
Law operates through me
As perfect order
as perfect order
and divine outcome.
and divine outcome.
Do you believe that?
Yes.
It's important. It's important. So the science of mind defines the law as mind in action. It defines order as a condition in which everything is so arranged as to play a proper part. The example that I used was, mind was in action, and we were all playing our proper part. And that was set up not in that moment, but before the moment. Law as order, and order as law. They work as a one unified combo plate, if you will. And so, remember, beloveds, everything in life has come out of the divine, perfect sequence of ideas and experience. Engage, as Joseph Campbell said, the bliss. Engage the bliss of a spiritual practice. Be more present as you. Be more present as you, because no one else can be you. It is the present you, the gift you give to yourself and all those you encounter by being you and being present. So begin now. Begin now. Claim your birthright by living your unique spiritual identity. It is your true identity, you know. It is your reality, your spiritual reality. But only you know what that is. Only you know what that is. This life is a limitless menu of possibilities. And you can order as much and as often as you choose. It's not fattening, but it is very fulfilling. So order up a heaping amount of you, the true you, and with childlike anticipation. There's a couple up front here, cello, guitarist. Look, and see what comes your way. Law and order. It's all God. It's all God. So I will leave you with dessert. Something sweet from the teachings of Rumi. It's a book by Andrew Harvey. It's entitled False Thinking. Infinite mercy flows continually, but you're asleep and can't see it. The sleeper's robe goes on drinking river water while he frantically hunts mirages and dreams and runs continually here and there shouting, "There'll be water further on, I know." It's this false thinking that blocks him from the path that leads to himself. By always saying, further on, further on, further on, he's becoming estranged from here. By always saying further on, he's becoming estranged from here. Because of a false fantasy, he's driven from reality. Namaste. So it is. I'd like to invite the ushers forward, please.